to address them. Elaine Parker, welcome to Conservative Commandos radio show.
Thanks, Anna. I appreciate you asking me on.
Well, we're really glad that you joined us. And I love the title of this article that you're going to discuss with us. We ran out of words to describe how good the job numbers are. Isn't that a great problem to have?
Actually, it is. It's been a great day. I mean, when you look at the jobs numbers that came out today, 223,000 new jobs added, and a 3.8 unemployment rate, which we haven't seen since 2000. I don't know who could be unhappy about those numbers.
No, you can't be unhappy about those numbers. And the real question, I guess, is whether there are enough synonyms for good, right? So the splendid, excellent, wonderful, magnificent. I don't know. I can think of a few more. How about you?
Well, I mean, the words that I use to describe it, I just really just say that I think this administration has done a lot for small business and the economy in general. For your listeners' background, Job Creators Network is a national small business advocacy organization. So we really focus on issues that impact small businesses, high taxes, overregulation, and access to capital. And so seeing these job numbers and seeing the pro-growth policies that this administration has implemented over the last 18 months, we're really starting to see the effects of that. We're seeing small business owners, especially with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, we're seeing small business owners, and our members are telling us that they're finally investing and expanding and growing their businesses and hiring new people. And just, we know that 5 million people have received wage increases and bonuses. And that's just the ones that we heard about in the news. When you think about your local Main Street small businesses, they're giving wage increases as well because they're our members, and that's what they're telling us they're doing.
Well, I think that it's really important for us to describe the historic nature of these particular job numbers. I don't know if people realize how much of an accomplishment this is for this president and his administration. I know we're inundated with negative comments in the main media undercutting all of his accomplishments. But quite frankly, this 3.8% unemployment is a new 18-year low. That's in this article. Also, this jobless rate for African Americans, which is at 5.9%. This is the lowest on record. I think this is not superlative. This is actually fact. These are historic accomplishments. Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
They really are. And there's a multitude of areas we could talk about, but I'll start with the tax cuts. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that was signed into law last December is the largest tax cut we've had in history. And it's the first time in 30 years that Congress has reformed the tax code. And we had a seat at the table. Job Creators Network had a seat at the table, and we fought very hard to include the small business tax deduction. When they initially started talking about tax cuts, they were focused on individual and corporate tax cuts. And we feel that, and always felt that there's that third class, and that's small business, partnerships, S corps, what the tax nerds call pass-through businesses. And so we're really proud that we were part of that fight and able to include that third class. But the reality is that every single Democrat voted against the tax cut, and now they're promising to repeal it. And that would be a shame, because when you hear numbers like today, and to roll something like that back, it would be horrible. And so we actually launched a campaign called Tax Cuts Work, and that's to highlight the successes of the tax cuts and how small businesses are now investing in small businesses. Investing in employees and their businesses and growing them. And that's important for us to do, because we can't let these tax cuts get rolled back.
And, this is not a time in our history where we have relative stability in other areas, politically or economically. I mean, we're in an era where there's potential trade wars, where we're dealing with issues like potential nuclear prowess in Iran, the same in Korea. We're not necessarily living in a stable environment. And yet, these job numbers in the United States economy are amazing. And it just seems that the leadership being provided by this president and his administration that is now being reflected in legislation like the tax cut law. This is just tremendous. And I think it sets an example on the world stage as well as for how to be economically successful. Treat your citizens well, let them keep their wealth, and you will, as a country, be successful. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at one of the most untold stories is on the regulatory front and what the administration has done as far as rolling back regulations. For every one regulation that has been introduced, they have rolled back 22, which has been an amazing igniter on this economy and just absolutely untold. Last week, for instance, the president signed in a partial repeal of the Dodd-Frank Act, and Dodd-Frank caused hundreds of community banks to literally disappear. And if you don't know this, but community banks provide 50% of all small business loans and 2/3 of farm loans. And when you've got 30 million small businesses out there that employ 60 million people, it's almost 100 million people dependent on small business, when they can't get credit to expand, to buy new machinery, to hire new people, just to make payroll sometimes, that's a big deal. And that's been a big drag on the economy. And that now that, the capital markets are going to open up for them with these community banks, and they're going to be able to get more credit. So that's a really good thing. And another area that the administration is working on is healthcare reform. And they're doing that through association health plans. Next week, we're waiting for the Department of Labor to unveil a new rule for association health plans that will allow small businesses to form large groups and buy insurance, spread the risk, and share the costs, essentially, much the same way corporations do that have a national presence. And it will allow them to shop across state lines, which is going to do two things. It's going to offer more choices, and it's going to bring down the costs. And that's what small businesses need.
I think this is a huge development in the area of healthcare reform. I have long been a proponent at the local level as an elected official in allowing chambers of commerce and other business associations to group together members of small businesses, owners and managers of small businesses in order to do exactly this. And the competition across state lines can only elevate the type of coverage that is available and reduce the cost. That competition is key. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm hoping that we're going to get exactly what's being described here on this show, because that, I'm telling you, that will bust wide open the competitiveness in the job market among small businesses. A lot of times small businesses have a hard time attracting good talent because we don't have enough shall we say, capital to provide what a larger company might offer as far as benefits are concerned. This development in healthcare reform can change that. And so it really, it's exciting.
Absolutely, it can. And by allowing small businesses to group together and small businesses were probably the most hurt by Obamacare and the increases in premiums, because a lot of large companies, they self-insure, so they weren't impacted by the intense increases in premiums. And what we saw is that the number of small businesses with less than 10 employees that offered insurance dropped from 35% to 22%. And firms with 10 to 24 offering insurance dropped from 61% to 48%. So the people being hurt are truly small businesses and their employees, and that's middle class.
Yeah, and that
really going to open up a lot of markets.
It is, and that those small businesses are where the most growth in the shortest period of time is poised to occur if you create an environment in which those businesses can not only survive but thrive. So I'm really looking forward to this Elaine, you're bringing me a lot of good news here today. I'm excited, but we've got to take a quick break. So don't go away, because I know producer Rick Trader wants to get in on this conversation. Listeners, we're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, and AM/FM 24/7. I'm Anna Little, co-hosting today with the one and only Rick Trader, producer in the studios. We're speaking this segment with Elaine Parker, president of the Job Creators Network Foundation. She's bringing us wonderful news about jobs numbers and small businesses and tax cuts and all kinds of great things. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. We'll be right back.
The Conservative Commandos Radio Show is the commander of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. We've established a front line of conservative leaders and ironclad patriots to revive the promise of America.
There must be some kind of way out of here.
We patriots have succeeded in securing the next 4 years of American prosperity, sovereignty, and liberty under President Donald Trump. But the fight is never over, and we must be forever vigilant.
Businessman there, drink my wine.
Do you have a passion for American values? Do you believe in preserving the American dream? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network or around the world on the internet at ccrshow.com and ccrsnetwork.com. Check out our websites for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where even more newsmakers go to be heard.
This is J.D. Manier, co-host on the Conservative Commandos radio show. Are you among the millions of Americans who feel uncertain when it comes to their health care? We're happy to inform you that there is a solution, and that solution is Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of like-minded people that work together to pay for their medical costs. There are no networks, so you get to choose your doctor and hospital. Liberty Health Share allows you to easily decide how, when, and where you will access health care. It could be the best practical, moral, and economical choice for you and your family, starting at $107 a month for a single, up to $449 a month for a family. That's mom, dad, and all kids. This is the way healthcare should be. For more information, call 855-585-4237 or visit libertyhealthshare.org. That's libertyhealthshare.org and regain control over your healthcare costs. Together, we're changing healthcare for good.
I'm Sharon Engel, and I approve this message. Congressional District 2 is a winnable seat where Trump won. The reality is the president can lead, but he cannot do it alone. In Congress, we contend with the Republicans who often do not support what the American people mandated on Election Day. Republicans in D.C. could lose this golden opportunity, and sadly, the biggest beneficiaries will be the establishment and crony capitalism. America is closely divided, with Nevada on the front lines of this ideological battle. You can help. Give online at SharonEngel.com or mail a contribution to P.O. Box 17373, Reno, Nevada 89511.
Sharon is great.
America deserves better. If you care more about sound ideas than negative sound bites, if you think it's time to end the bailouts, end the power of the special interests, and above all, take back the America we love, then please visit SharonEngel.com and contribute today.
Paid for by Sharon Engel for Congress.
From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the internet, we're coming to you live from the CCRS studios. This is the Conservative Commandos Radio Show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos Radio Show, where the newsmakers go to be heard.
Drink my wine.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
Thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos Radio Show with Anna Little and yours truly, Rick Trader. A shout out to our listeners in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster, and Pittsburgh. Boulder in Colorado Springs, Colorado, Milwaukee, Long Beach, California. We are everywhere. We are everywhere. We're delighted to have with us Elaine Parker. She is the president of the Job Creators Network Foundation. Elaine, thank you for holding through that break and joining us today. We really do appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Elaine, we're talking about the latest job numbers that have come out. The economy has added 223,000 jobs. The unemployment rate has fallen to 3.8%, a new 18-year low. The rate of African American unemployment is down to 5.9%. Elaine, where do we reach full employment? Is it here? How much lower can this get?
I think we inch closer every day. Interesting thing about having such a low unemployment rate, if you could say that there's any problem with it, it's that it has actually revealed a structural problem, and that is that we have a skills gap because the labor market is tightening. Our members are telling us every day that they are having trouble finding skilled labor to fill the jobs that they have. So it's a great problem to have that you have a ton of jobs out there, but it's a problem that needs to be addressed through training and skills training. When you've got 6 million unfilled jobs out there and you don't have the right skill set to put people in them.
Yeah. Well, Elaine, a lot of people are saying, well, here we go. This is because of Donald Trump. But there are others out there who will say, wait a minute, not so fast, and giving credit to Donald Trump. And one of those people is Barack Obama. He said he's responsible for all this good news. Your thoughts?
I think it's pretty easy to sum up when you look at the numbers. They just don't lie, and the numbers are happening because tax cuts were put in place that allowed people to get more money back in their check. And make no mistake, anyone who gets a paycheck is getting more money back in their paychecks. Small business is getting more money to invest and expand their businesses. Regulations, the regulation, again, the most untold story out there. The more they roll them back, the more small business is able to expand. Big companies, while regulations are bothersome to them, they have floors of lawyers and accountants to help them navigate those. When you're a small business, you're chief cook and bottle washer. And to navigate some of the regulatory issues at the federal, state, and local levels, all that does is suck time and energy away from, and money away from you running your business and expanding your business. And so that's huge. And, I can tell you in the last 8 years, the regulations were not decreasing, they were increasing.
Well, Elaine, in the first part of the interview, I heard you and Anna talking about the tax cuts and also how the Democrats have promised to repeal those tax cuts. Maybe they don't remember the lesson of Walter Mondale, who ran on raising taxes. Maybe we live in a different day and age. But Elaine, where do you think the American people are falling on this? In my opinion, my impression should be, okay, they have jobs now. They're doing well. They're getting a good paycheck in their pocket. And, the other side is saying, well, we want a bigger piece of that paycheck. It's unfair for you to have the right to spend the money that you earn. Is the American people responding to these tax cuts? Are they responding to these great job numbers?
I think in the beginning of the year, the tax bill really had a bad rap. It was very, very unpopular. And that's because the media was I believe, not reporting accurately who was actually going to help. And now we're seeing that people are starting to get more money back in their paycheck. Optimism is higher. Like I said, I mentioned our campaign tax cuts work. And our whole goal with this campaign this year is to highlight the success of the tax bill and helping people understand that they are going to get more money back in their paycheck. The interesting thing is we have a website, taxcutswork.com, and your listeners can go there and actually we have a calculator on there. They can actually calculate what their tax savings will be. But a lot of people aren't going to see their full tax savings until next April when they file their taxes.
Wow.
And that's one issue why people just don't know at this point. And the other issue that we kind of discovered, our aha moment, if you will, is there are 77 million hourly workers in this country. Hourly workers work different hours every week, 40 hours, 42 hours, 38 hours. Their hours change all the time. And so they actually have less chance of noticing that their check is that they're paying less in taxes in their checks. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of people out there that simply don't know they're getting more money back in their checks.
Well, that's why we're here. That's why you're here, Elaine. That's why we're having you is to help educate these. Hey, you know what, Elaine, what I find very interesting? We've been able to make these gains. We've been able to make these gains in jobs and in the economy. And the one thing that we have not heard of, I think it's because it's not existent, is inflation. We've always been told, full employment is going to mean inflation, but it's not. It's not around. And your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I wish I had a crystal ball on how that's going to go. I mean, all the reports I saw today is the economy is certainly doing well, and overall structurally it's strong and doing well. But that they're watching. We're going to have to wait and see on this one, on what they'll do and whether or not we could lead to inflation here. So I just don't know is the truth because I don't have a crystal ball. But
well, boy, you do. Please clone it and give me one. Elaine Parker, president of the Job Creators Network, is with us today on the Conservative Commandos radio show. Elaine, one more question, if I could. The millennials, the Generation Yers. I mean, these people are a different breed. I saw a study a couple of weeks ago that 47% of the people that consider themselves millennials or Generation Yers, okay, the letter Y, ERS, they would want to live under a socialist system. Where did we go wrong? Where are we going wrong here, Elaine? Why aren't these people getting the message that there is no country on God's blue-green planet like the United States for opportunity? And it is because of our capitalistic system, in my opinion. Where have we gone wrong, Elaine?
You know, I could say we're fighting against pop culture and everything like that, but one of the things that we do, our founder for Job Creators Network is Bernie Marcus. He's the co-founder of the Home Depot. He has a true American dream story. And one of the things that we do is we have an education program called Employer to Employee Education. And we actually produce educational materials through videos, short animated videos, to catch the attention of the younger folks and the millennial and the Gen Yers, to really help them understand how government policies impact job creation. And we try to do it in a entertaining, sometimes funny, we think funny, we hope funny way. And we do that because we think that there is a lack of information and education out there. On policies related to taxes and debt and deficit and how it impacts job creation.
Well, that says a lot about our education system, that they're not being taught that in schools. It's up to people like Bernie Marcus and the Job Creators Network to teach them. Hey, Elaine, we got to run. We want to thank you for joining us, but please tell our audience how they could follow your work and the work of the Job Creators Network Foundation.
They can go to jobcreatorsnetwork.com and you can actually join the Job Creators Network and become an advocate for us.
I'm going to do that. I promise you. Elaine Parker, again, thank you for joining